Tonight, John Mahama desperate to unite a fractured NDC after bitterly contested presidential and parliamentary primaries.
We must flip the coin from competition to cooperation. Incumbent members of parliament who lost their primaries that I intend to meet with these MPs at the earliest possible opportunity.
We have details from his acceptance speech in Tamale, where he vowed that the next NDC government will probe the Frimpong Boateng accusations in that explosive Galamsey report.
It also emerged that the heart surgeon had 2 years ago boldly exposed the duplicity of the MPP government in the fight against Galamsey. We shall pursue this matter further and make sure that justice is done.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Vodafone. It was a bitterly contested parliamentary and presidential primaries for the main opposition NDC. The outcome has left the NDC fractured, with some, including former Minority Chief Whip Muntaka Mubarak, calling out some party executives, accusing them of conspiring to remove many incumbent NDC MPs in the parliamentary primaries.
These are colleagues who are going for election. If we were to call people and allow them to speak, those who have lost, those some who have won, and they are to tell you how people have poked their nose into their constituencies, you will be shocked how people have decided to put their fingers across the constituencies. This was something that as chief whip, I will never agree. If I were here, any person doing that, I would have insisted that the person would be brought to book. Look at the numbers that we've lost. I'm hearing 17, 16. Yes. Whichever it is, that is too large a number. Because in 2009 and 2000, prior to the 2020 election, we were only 109 in the chamber. With the leader Haruna, we worked so hard to make sure that minimum loss was achieved. Only 9 people lost. If you strike it even by percentages, you see that was a smaller percentage than the loss today. I'm not going to call names. Regardless of the head, I'm not going to stand in the public to wish NDC bad or to say that NDC should break or to aggravate the confusion. I'm only drawing attention that, look, we have a lot of work to do, especially our council authority.
Well, in the last couple of hours, flag bearer of the NDC, who was just elected over the weekend, John Mahama, has been delivering an extensive acceptance speech from the capital of the northern region. And he says he is desperate to unite the fractured party.
From today, right here in the hall of the University of Development Studies, I declare that the internal competition for the flag bearership position is over. You have chosen experience with vision over experiment, and I'm confident that in December 2024, Ghanaians will make that choice that puts us back on the path of building the Ghana we want together. We must flip the coin from competition to cooperation. We need cooperation to build a better Ghana and a better NDC. I'm therefore calling for cooperation among all elected parliamentary candidates and your aspirants and supporters. Incumbent members of parliament who lost their primaries must also keep their heads up. You remain heroes for the good job you have done and continue to do. We need your experience and talents for the honors job that faces us when the good people of Ghana give us a mandate to steer the affairs of this country once more. Above all, we need you in the remaining 1.5 years of your parliamentary mandate to carry out your duties in Parliament with dedication and commitment to safeguard the interests of the Ghanaian people. And I wish to assure you that I intend to meet with these MPs at the earliest possible opportunity.
So that is what he plans to do at the parliamentary level, with the contest, as we know, producing 17 casualties, incumbent NDC MPs who have lost in their primaries with no opportunity to stand in the general elections next year. But he also had his own challenges with the presidential primary, where we know a bitterly contested presidential primary led to a court suit that then eventually led to withdrawal from that raised by the Dr. Kwabena Duffuor. So what is his plan for Dr. Kwabena Duffuor going forward? Will he reach out? This is what he said about Dr. Kwabena Duffuor and Kojo Bonsu, both gentlemen contesting him in the primary.
Let me, on your behalf and on my own behalf, acknowledge the contribution of Dr. Kwabena Duffuor, former Mayor of Kumasi, Kojo Bonsu, and Mr. Ernest Kobia, for what they have done towards enhancing the internal democratic systems of our party.
Well, we'll interrogate that a bit more because he has committed to meet the incumbent MPP, NDC NPs who lost their seats, but he didn't indicate what he plans to do in trying to bring Dr. Kwabena Duffuor and co back into the fold following that bitter contest. We'll get some clarity from his team shortly on that. But he reserved a sizable chunk of the time today in taking on the government, the governing New Patriotic Party, and President Akufo-Addo. He says the NPP government must prepare to hand over after the 2024 elections.
Clearly, the Akufo-Addo and Bawumia NPP administration has failed to meet the expectations of the Ghanaian people, and they must prepare to bow out at the next election. And they must start preparing their handing over notes. And get ready to account to the people of Ghana for their stewardship. Yes, there is hope for our country. I firmly believe in our collective ability as a party to lead a transformation agenda that restores decent values, revives youthful aspirations and ambitions. Ours will be a progressive government that provides equal opportunities for decent and sustainable livelihoods. I'm convinced that by working together with Ghanaians, we shall turn Ghana's hopelessness and gloom today into a better and brighter tomorrow. And we cannot allow them to continue holding Ghana's progress in reverse gear. Ghana is not for a few people alone. Ghana is for all of us and generations yet unborn. As I said, we must rise like the phoenix, rising from the ashes, renew, reform, and liberate ourselves from this misrule on December 7th, 2024. And this is why I'm running for president in 2024.
Well, he also attacked the government's record on dealing with corruption.
The truth is that this government cannot just wish away the reality that Ghana is not looking good on the Corruption Perception Index of Transparency International. The president no longer makes corruption a pet topic in any of his speeches because corruption has defeated him hands down. And let me assure you, as I stated in Garu in the Upper East during my campaign tour, that I will adopt a robust root and branch approach to fighting corruption. Because corruption is a major source through which state resources are lost. It will not matter whether the people involved in the corruption are our own people or from some other party. We will continue the constitution review process commenced by President John Evans Atta Mills of blessed memory, and we will carry it to its logical conclusion.
He also wants a mid-year budget review presented shortly after Ghana receives the IMF Executive Board approval. A budget review document, he says, must reflect the current economic reality.
Even as we await the board of the International Monetary Fund's approval for Ghana's requested bailout by the end of May or June this year, we expect that the finance minister will urgently present a mid-year review budget to Parliament, which would include any agreements they might have reached with the fund, and also one that critically cuts down government expenditure. The 2023 budget and financial statement presented to Parliament last November currently is riding on stilts with no stability. And this is why I insist government must immediately, upon approval of Ghana's program by the fund, review the 2023 budget to reflect the realities of our economic situation today.
He also promised sweeping reforms at the Bank of Ghana.
I will keep these promises when I assume office on January 7th, 2025, God willing. We will restore stability and inclusive growth in the economy, and we shall rejuvenate the almost collapsed banks and the financial sector. And this will involve sweeping reforms at the Bank of Ghana because the central bank itself has been a part of creating this problem. I'll create the foundation that will ensure that Ghana will never suffer such a deadly debt management program that threatens to send our elderly people holding government bonds to an early grave and wipe out the investments of the Ghanaian middle class.
On that controversial report by the former Environment Minister, Professor Frimpong Boateng, he says his government, if he is elected and forms the next government, will pursue a thorough investigation into that and bring justice to those accused.
In fact, some Ghanaians in the diaspora have proven to be extremely beneficial to our country. Take, for instance, Professor Frimpong Boateng of the Cardiothoracic Center, fame, who returned from Germany to establish the Cardio Center and has saved many Ghanaian lives. Since the professor's return, he has contributed his significant bit in medicine and in politics. And only recently, an Al Jazeera documentary accusing President Akufo-Addo and his government of organized crime in collusion with a foreigner, it also emerged that the heart surgeon had 2 years ago boldly exposed the duplicity of the MPP government in the fight against Galamsey. His report has opened a can of worms, which I know this president, in his usual manner, will sweep under the carpet, just as many corruption scandals have been cleared by who is called the clearing agent. We shall pursue this matter further and make sure that justice is done.
He also promised that his ministers, if he's elected and forms the next government, will be required to sign an undertaking committing to waive their ex gratia.
Our nation is still at the crossroads with crippling debts and an inefficient and wasteful government. We cannot continue this pathway. It is a betrayal of our people as a leader to keep doing things the same way when the results leave them poorer. I am committed to operating an effective government with no more than 60 ministers. These ministers, together with other appointees of the government, will not be entitled to ex gratia payments after their tenure, as I will make them commit to that undertaking even before the necessary constitutional amendments, including a review of the controversial Article 71, is carried out.
I want to bring in an aide to the former President John Dramani Mahama, who's just been elected flag bearer of the NDC. He himself won in his own parliamentary primary in Asebu Kwamankase constituency here in the central region. Felix Kwachifosu, thanks for your time here on Top Story, and congratulations are in order.
Oh, thank you, Evans.
Also joining us right now is the communications director for the governing New Patriotic Party, Mr. Richard Hiagba. Thanks for your time here on Top Story.
Thank you, Evans.
Felix, let's start with your contest, the primaries. And we had the former president say that his first order of business is to meet the MPs who lost. He recognizes that that poses a challenge in trying to get them on board this campaign for 2024. For you yourselves, knowing how keenly contested this was, how important is it that he does this and he does this immediately?
Well, it is extremely important because a loss in a contest such as this can be devastating for some people. And so it can breed apathy and lethargy. And given the tightrope we walk in Parliament, because of the closeness of the numbers, we can ill afford as a party to have apathy and lethargy bred within our ranks. So it is important that all sitting MPs who lost are quickly reached out to, engaged, assured of their continued prominence and role in the NDC and the future government, so that they will have the requisite motivation to see out the remainder of their time, of their tenure, in a manner that helps to advance the cause of the party and Ghana in Parliament as a whole. So this is extremely important. It will not be the first time it will be done. It has always been done any time that we've had parliamentary primaries and had casualties resulting out of it. So it will be nothing new, but it remains very important nonetheless.
So he'll do that for the parliamentary, incumbent MPs who lost. What about Dr. Kwabena Duffuor, especially him, but also Kojo Bonsu? Yes, he mentions their name and thanks them for the contest, but we didn't hear the same, extending of an olive branch, meeting them to try and get them to come into the fold. Is there a plan for this?
It is the start of the electioneering calendar of the NDC. Every time that we've had presidential primaries, time has been spent to, as it were, bridge the gaps that may have emerged in the course of the contest. You recall that in 2019, when 5 or so other people contested him, immediately after the race, some reconciliation meetings were held. And I have no doubt that similar ones will be held to patch up whatever differences may have arisen in the course of this particular contest. So I don't think that it is anything to worry about.
And it took advantage of this acceptance speech to delve into major national issues, taking on the incumbent administration, calling them out for the current economic crisis, etc. One of the things he said in there is that they are responsible for the crisis, but also they've mismanaged the economy to the point where individuals are losing their investments, and then says that when he comes in, he's going to pursue swift reforms at the Bank of Ghana. He's going to put in place a debt ceiling. Bold claims indeed, but keeping them honest. He also supervised, a similar economic crisis, not as deep as this, you must admit, but he also had his own challenges. Some say, well, he possibly hasn't got the moral authority to be towing this line now.
I'm not sure who has the right to confer moral authority on anybody, certainly not the MPP. The point is that the MPP has been poor, full stop. And they do not only need to be called out and taken on, they need to be taken out at the earliest opportunity in December 2024. What they have done requires that they are thrown out of government. They simply have no business continuing. And I do not see any reasonable individual in Ghana today, perhaps apart from the ranks of their rabid followers, who would countenance their continued stay in government after the expiration of their current mandate. So when President Mahama calls for them to be booted out, he is reflecting the concerns of an overwhelming majority of Ghanaians who are simply tired of this government, the crass mismanagement, the hopelessness, the incompetence, the deliberate destruction of our economy, and their total inability to even resolve the crisis. Look at how we've struggled to secure board approval for an IMF program. Because of the size of our debts, our creditors didn't want to have anything to do with us. It is only in the last couple of days that some respite has filtered in by way of the G20 and China agreements. So it is obvious that the rot and decline must end at some point. And if it is going to end, it must start with throwing out the MPP at the polls. Once that is done, the time will come for reconstruction. And it is the plan that President Mahama has that he outlined in the speech today. Reforms are definitely needed because any society that does not learn from painful episodes like this one is not a society that is going to go anywhere. So if it is reckless borrowing and deliberate economic mismanagement by the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government that has led us here, it only makes sense that we reverse course and move away from those things that have contributed to the mess that we find ourselves in. So the first order of business will be to restore stability and ensure that we do not trod the same path that has led us here. For instance, the Bank of Ghana has been exceptionally reckless. One would have thought that of all the agencies of state responsible for managing the economy, they will be the ones that exercise the greatest caution. But they are neck deep in the conspiracy to ravage and destroy our economy. And so you find that they routinely violate their own enabling act, which requires them not to lend money to government beyond a certain threshold. But they've gone over and above it and have deepened the debt crisis that has brought us here. Look at the extent of borrowing that has gone on. Look at how all the important macroeconomic indices have gone south, and in its wake brought untold, unprecedented hardships on the people of Ghana. So no government that governs this way deserves to be given an opportunity to extend his mandate. Indeed, even if there was no, party contesting the MPP, they must still lose because they simply have shown that they don't have what it takes to manage this country.
Stay with me, Felix. Let me bring in Richard here. But Richard, you accept that the economy, obviously where we are today, with now seeking an IMF bailout, it's in itself, the best evidence you can find that your government has been poor in managing the economy. John Mahama says you should be preparing to hand over. Hello, Richard. Hello, Mr. Ahiagba.
Evans, can you hear me?
I can now, yes.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Let me, first of all, congratulate Felix for his success. I wish him well. But I immediately want to disagree with him.
There's a radio, I think.
Can you hear me well?
There's a radio that's giving me feedback. If you can put it off.
No, there's no radio here with me. I'm in the wilderness somewhere. So might be okay. Is it okay now?
It is, yes. Please proceed.
Okay. Yeah. So I was just saying that I want to sharply disagree with Felix, and I haven't listened to the former president. He just literally repeated most of the things that the former president repeated. I think that the NDC is taking Ghanaians as though that we have very short memory. They've said that, and they're acting it. And I don't think that we'll let them do that. Everything Felix talked about here, I can go in one by one, and try to check him on it. They're talking about recklessness, that this economy has been vanquished. They're talking about Ghana needing MPP to hand over because they are ready to take over and fix this economy. None of that can be true. We saw their record. And most importantly is His Excellency the former president, who is their leader. And so the record of his governance in this country exists. So nobody, Felix, no Ghanaian can hang their hat on anything the NDC says or anything they said in the past through this election up until now and what they will be saying part of this campaign. The only thing that will make a difference, if they say, is a recognition of how they bastardized our economy before, how they vanquished the gains they inherited from a high 14% GDP in 2011 all the way to 3.4 when they left office. I am saying to them
but you're doing even lower. You are doing even lower than 3% currently.
Sorry?
You talk about GDP. You're doing lower than 3% currently.
Yes, but Felix, Evans, what necessitated that? There's a reason for that. There's a reasonable explanation for that, which doesn't exist for them if they try to explain. And you saw, since you brought this point, let's go and look at the trajectory of this economy from 2017 when this government took over up until 2019 and 2020 where the interruption came. So that record exists. And I think that we shouldn't always forget it because everything they are saying, they are looking in the past to make a point. And we're going to go there and make the point. I hope that the media will not create this environment and say you are equalizing and you are talking about yesterday, we are talking about now. We're talking about records, and we have to be able to look and compare. So, yes, we are not doing well now. The reasons we have explained. And that is not only Ghana that is not doing well. This afternoon, I was having a chat with a friend in London that sent me some conversations and later on some letters and notes that he was taking in a meeting, suggesting that doctors in the UK are having to make a decision on whether or not to demonstrate overpay. It's unprecedented. You almost never heard anything like that. Inflation across the world is very high. Yes, they are busy talking about how high inflation is in Ghana, but that is not isolated. It's interlinked with the global realities that we're going through. So if you take MPP's governance of this country in good time, which I'll tell you is perhaps from 2017, where you have normal environmental or economic system disturbances or maybe nudges in the system, where you have normal time of economic management vis-a-vis the NDC, you realize that the MPP surpasses the performance of the NDC. What you are talking about, what the NDC is leveraging and trying to make all Ghanaians think that this is a normal time, is an exceptional conversation that I think that I've been saying this for a long time, Evans, that the media must help manage this conversation, moderate this conversation in ways that we can see where the facts are, so that when an NDC person and the person of Felix or the former president talks about the mismanagement of this government, you ask them relative to what time. Because you cannot continue to disagree that the exceptional situations that we're in across the world, where economies are struggling, that have never experienced that situation. In fact, 2 days ago, I was listening to a Congress hearing where an individual was asked to explain how they could watch for certain, rots to occur because they were put in charge of a situation to try to fix it. And all they can tell you was that, yes, in fact, we have an exceptional circumstance. We couldn't do anything about it. And the reality is that what we did was actually the best we could have done under the circumstance. So, yes, they are talking very high and hard. But all of that, when we break it down and try to lay the facts bare and put our records side by side, there isn't any way that the NDC can tell me. In fact, Felix talked about the banking sector, that the Bank of Ghana has been very reckless. With respect, I want to tell Felix that, look, it is rather under you that the Bank of Ghana can be said to have been reckless, to the extent that created a banking sector challenge that needed fixing. And this government taking the bull by the horn, spending in excess of 25 billion or so to rectify the enablement and the enabling environment the NDC had created for bad actors in the banking sector to abuse.
Yeah, I mean, but Richard, you make that point, but right now all the indicators in the assessment of the banks that you claim you have cleaned up and made stronger show that majority of the banks in Ghana right now on the brink of insolvency. The Bank of Ghana itself had had cause to complain about that and have set up a financial stability fund for that purpose. Stay with me. Let me quickly get Felix. Felix, this is a challenge that John Mahama will always have to deal with. First time in our history, we have a one-term president who is seeking to come back. He will always have to deal with the question. He had 4 years. All the things he's promising now, why didn't he do them then when he had the 4 years? Hello, Felix.
This often. We are even on this debate. How is it that anybody can claim that what the MPP is doing now is better than what President Mahama did in power? President Mahama is better than all the people in the MPP government put together. The records show that this government has been utterly useless. They have destroyed our economy with mismanagement and are seeking to hide behind supposed global events. But you need to ask Richard immediately to show you any country with a sort of disastrous outcome that we have. Why? Is it only Ghana that was afflicted by the COVID pandemic? So how come our West African neighbors do not have the economy in the sort of status that we have? The truth is that this government has been useless. What they have done is to squander resources given to them. They have had more money than all other governments before them put together. And yet they have managed to bankrupt our country. Evans, under the NDC, did you hear of a domestic debt exchange program? Did you hear that we are defaulted on our debts? Did we have the sort of catastrophic economic environment we have today? So what is Richard talking about? You see, they must credit the people of Ghana with a bit of intelligence. There is no human being on this earth that can ever sustain a claim that this government has been better than the NPP. And if when they speak, they claim that between 2017 and 2019, things were kosher. So between 2019 and now, who has been in charge? My grandmother's pet. They have been in charge. They have taken the decisions that have sunk us. In any event, who tells him that in 2011, we in the NDC took over from a different government. It was the NDC that was in power in 2011 when we recorded the highest growth rate in Ghana. The MPP have done nothing close to that. The highest growth they've had is 8%, and 8% is certainly not better than 14%. So if one party does 14% in government, as far as the growth rate is concerned, and you do 8%, how do you even begin to compare yourself to that government and claim that you've been better? What kind of better is that? Why does Richard think that we are all dollars and that we cannot reason for ourselves? And that when we see black, we must say it is white. You see, it is the sort of, a bubble that they have cocooned themselves in that makes them refuse to accept the reality that their government has been poor. And it is the same sort of denial that will get them thrown out of government in December 2024. Because no Ghanaian ever living anywhere on this earth can ever accept that what they've done in the last 7 years is acceptable. They have had more opportunities than any other government before them. Yet they have succeeded in destroying our economy with recklessness. Please, whose decision was it to borrow to the extent that they have done? When they were in opposition, was it not Alhaji Bawumia who was going around this country accusing the previous government of borrowing? When we had a total public debt of 120 billion, today we are in excess of 600 billion. And yet Richard wants us to believe that this situation is better than what we had in the past. Richard wants us to believe that hyperinflation, which hovered a few months around 54%, is better than the 15% they inherited. Richard wants us to believe that an exchange rate which reached 17 Ghana cedis to $1 only a couple of months ago is better than the 4 cedis at which we left it. What kind of analysis is that?
And Richard, those indicators Felix mentions, they will be the basis for a campaign next year. And of course, you are getting now the IMF Executive Board approval. Do I get a sense that the government is banking that after this approval, these indicators will show an uptick and that could become a basis for a campaign going into the 2024 elections?
Evans, thank you very much. I just want to make a note of everything Felix said. Felix didn't have to be angry. The pretense is obvious, but you asked him a basic question. He didn't answer your question. He went on a tirade just accusing and blaming MPP. The simple question you asked him was that, why is it that the former president couldn't do all the things he's promising when he was in government? It's a simple question. Felix should answer that question. Why didn't he answer that question? He cannot answer that question. And if he cannot answer that question, it tells you clearly that everything they are saying now cannot be believed. That's why I said nobody can hang their hat on anything they are saying or will be saying in this campaign. And we're going to make sure Ghanaians get the fact. We are quite able and capable to have the conversation he's ranting about that we have mismanaged the economy. Look, he asked the question about why is it, I should point him a country that is also suffering in the situation we're in. I don't have to show him any country. He needs to look. You need to search for it. How many countries are with the IMF now currently seeking balance of payment support? But I should ask him, Felix, when they went to IMF in 2015, how many of our neighbors went with them? When NDC and the former President Mahama went to the IMF, how many countries went to the IMF at the same time, and how many economies were caving in when they went? So please, Felix, if you want to have this conversation, you have to be sober for us to have it.
Thank you very much, Richard Ihagba. Thank you, Felix, also. It appears the conversation around the campaigns have already started in earnest, and we're here to try and moderate that for you. You have a view on this? Send me a WhatsApp, 055-111-997. Thank you, gentlemen. News Night starts now. Still ahead?
If we were to call people and allow them to speak, those who have lost, those some who have won, and they are to tell you how people have put their nose into their consensus, you'll be shocked how people have decided to put their fingers across the consensus. This was something that I will never agree.
As Aswasi MP accuses national executives of masterminding the defeat of some of his colleagues, former Minority Leader Harun Idrisu tonight confirms that Muttaka Mubarak was a target by powerful forces within the NDC for removal.
Shada would be concerned that if there was a major vote, how will this 16, 17 people relate if they so believe what Honorable Muttaka is speaking to? What the NDC needs now is unity.
Also, loss of 17 MPs in the NDC primaries will affect parliamentary business. Details as Haruna Idrisa calls for unity.
Not the best of development for the cohesion and unity of the party and for the use of experience, hands, and the wisdom from those experiences to keep the unity of the NDC and the parliamentary organ together.
We have details as calls for unity is being trumpeted by the party. Also tonight, elected parliamentary candidate for Ningo Prampram backs decision by the special prosecutor to investigate MP aspirant for Ejurase Dumase over a suspected case of corruption.
Stickler for discipline, and I would maintain and insist that if anybody has fallen foul of our regulations, be they as a party or as the country, the right sanctions should apply.
Also, former President Mahama's 40 city transport support is also being investigated by the special prosecutor. We'll hear from them details of that, plus a statement from the Ghana Integrity Initiative on this. Also tonight, President Akufo-Addo gave strongest indication the country will begin to witness economic recovery as he expects the International Monetary Fund to approve a first loan tranche of $600 million as soon as Wednesday.
We're going to see the beginning of the recovery because we've been approving of the IMF. We're in a strong position to make other arrangements.
And in business, government is expecting to get about $1.2 billion in IMF cash disbursement after the board approves the program this Wednesday.
And in sports, head coach of Dreams FC confident of avoiding relegation following the team's securing final bet of in the MTN FA Cup.
And much later.
So we are officially counting down.
96 hours and still counting of cooking over 250 recipes. 27-year-old Hilda Bassi aims for 100 hours after breaking world cooking record earlier today. And we also latest put the spotlight on the timeless prowess of Sanarugu MP A.B. Fuseni, excited about parliamentarians amongst others.
So a man who has died in the market, you don't need to announce his funeral. They're saying that you must first have heard before you can chew.
That's why I say don't be in a hurry to count your chickens before the eggs hatch, because you could be mistaken. You count eggs as chicken.
We have details of that and more here on Newsnight after this short break. But do well to join us with your thoughts and comments. Via WhatsApp is 055-1111-997. I am MFA Apau.
My name is Evans Mensa.
Visited a shop, picked a whole basket of provisions, toiletries, and very essential things you need, battled a long queue to finally pay, only to be told you can't pay to a merchant number. The way that thing they pay, but with Vodafone Cash, there is no problem. Now on Vodafone Cash, you can pay all merchants on all networks. Easy peasy. And you're straight. And you're direct. And you're sharp. From your Vodafone Cash wallet to any merchant number on other networks. So whether you are buying provisions or fuel, medication or food, whatever the service or need, just pay conveniently from Vodafone Cash to any merchant's number. Simply dial *110# to make payment to merchants on other networks today.
Vodafone.
Wouldn't you prefer an apartment hotel? One that offers the utmost convenience of a boutique hotel while offering the idyllic comfort of your own private home. Oasis Park Residences offers luxury studios, 1, 2 and 3 bedrooms both for short and long-term rental at competitive rates. Our sky swimming pool, gourmet outdoor restaurant, and a fully equipped gym rest on a breathtaking rooftop with panoramic views of the city. Oasis Park Residences, located at Shiashi Tetekwashi, 10 minutes from the international airport, is the ideal place for all your accommodation needs. Why don't you give us a call on 020-4343-009 or visit our website at oasisparkresidences.com to make your reservations. Oasis Park Residences, more than a home.
For Pepsodent, smiles are one of the most important things we have. The problem is, globally, 1 in 2 children suffer from cavities. Pepsodent, with maximum cavity protection, helps to prevent the formation of cavities. Pepsodent, because every smile matters. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
And you're still live here on Newsnight is on Joy 99.7 FM. And let's start with politics, shall we? as Aswasi MP accuses national executives of the NDC of masterminding the defeat of some of his colleagues. Former Minority Leader Haruna Iddrisu is tonight confirming also that Muntaka Mubarak was himself a main target by powerful forces within the NDC for removal.
Well, 17 sitting MPs have lost their candidature ahead of the main polls in December 2024, a development which is of concern to the former whip and the former minority leader Haruna Iddrisu. Well, we can hear from the Aswasi MP Muntaka Mubarak, who is accusing national executives of being the mastermind behind some of the defeat of his colleagues. Listen.
These are colleagues who have gone for election. If we were to call people and allow them to speak, those who have lost, those some who have won, and they are to tell you how people have put their nose into their constituencies, you will be shocked how people have decided to put their fingers across the constituencies. This was something that I will never agree. If I hear any person doing that, I will have insisted that the person be brought to book. Look at the numbers that we've lost. I'm hearing 17, 16. Yes. Whichever it is, that is too large a number. Because in 2009 and 2000, prior to the 2020 election, we were only 109 in the chamber. With the leader Haruna, we worked so hard to make sure that minimum loss was achieved. Only 9 people lost. If you strike it even by percentages, you see that was a smaller percentage than the loss today. I'm not going to call names. Regardless of the head, I'm not going to stand in the public to wish NDC bad or to say that NDC should break. To exacerbate the confusion. I'm only drawing attention that, look, we have a lot of work to do, especially our Council of Elders.
Well, the former minority leader Haruna Iddrisu is also confirming the involvement of powerful forces within the NDC fold, which possibly led to the loss of the MPs, as well as the stifle position those who even won also faced.
As for Andamai, we do hear pockets of it. In fact, the Honorable Muntaka was a target, and Ghanaians will appreciate him someday in the foreseeable future. If there is any member of parliament who provided discipline, provided cohesion, was in control of chamber dynamics, it was the Honorable Muntaka. I have said that I don't want to comment publicly on the reshuffle that happened to me and him and the Honorable Aveji. But just to say that for purpose of the future, we are human beings before we are politicians, and we ought to be treated as human beings. Beyond that, I don't intend to comment on that. I've put a minority leader behind me. In any case, how can my aspiration be to lead opposition? It can't be a worthy political aspiration. I want to be in government. And I'll strive to work to be in government, nothing more. So that is past. As he himself said, we work hard as leaders to increase the NDC parliamentary seats from 106 to 137 compared with the presidential outcome. It means we did well. And Ghanaians appreciated what we did. We got a speaker elected. We were united. Thanks to Muntaka. Show me any minority in the world that can hold a government for 6 months, yet he could keep the unity of the caucus. Nobody slipped through. When we said that we won't allow a Japan, the questionable corrupt deal to go through with e-levy. So it means we provided leadership, but nonetheless, some people have been so put in that position.
Well, he also highlights the potential threat the loss of the 17 MPs pose to parliamentary business going forward if the party does not work to enforce unity among members.
Not the best of development for the cohesion and unity of the party and for the use of experience, hands, and the wisdom from those experiences to keep the unity of the NDC and the parliamentary organ together. Shada would be concerned that if there was a major vote by government tomorrow in Parliament, how will these 16, 17 people relate to the matter before them if they so believe what the Honorable Muntaka is speaking to? But all the same, what the NDC needs now is unity. Nothing more than that.
But I would want to find out briefly from you, because there were talks also that the party was working against the likes of you as well. What really will be the motive of the national executives in working against the likes of you and Muntaka and the rest of them?
Anybody seeking to fight against Haruna Iddrisu in Tamale South is searching for a needle at midnight. that person would not be successful in darkness. That's a near impossibility. I have the full backing and absolute support of my constituents, and they don't intend to abandon me now until probably as and when. But I do know that in competitive democratic politics, there are egos to manage. There are people who naturally would want to undermine others. I don't have evidence to that. I haven't spoken to any of the defeated candidates, but just to urge them to work hard with whoever have emerged in their consensus for the NDC to retain those seats and for us to work to improve. My focus in Northern Region is to improve the NDC seats from 9 probably to 15 in 2024, working with my colleagues, whether new or old. And that is my primary focus.
Well, he did not have anybody contesting him. He went unopposed.
4 times.
Exactly.
4 times he's done that unopposed.
But many of his colleagues in the House had people challenging them, and 17 of them fell. First, I know you've been trying to reach some of them for comment. Were you successful in any?
No, none of them, unless I think the Navrongo Central MP is the only one who's softened his stance about speaking about this. But we did the former Power Minister, Dr. Kwabena Donkor, Pru East. We called. He doesn't want to speak about this. Alhaji Abia Fuseni of Sanarugu, his phone has been off the whole day since yesterday, and still trending, and he has not been able to answer, or it's not gone through at all. We also have Alex Adumaku Mensah of Fran Plains and not been able to reach. He's been unreachable. Edward Bauer, I'm sure the entire newsroom has tried reaching him. It rings at some point, but I've been unsuccessful speaking to him. Wisdom Gidisu, same. We haven't been able to reach. Abeku Krenzel of Ekumfi, also one of them. Delasoa MP for Bando 1 with particular called as well. We've called her and it's been unsuccessful as well. Angela Ofuriwa Alowute Afajatu South, unsuccessful. We also have Kobna Mensah Uweyome South Tongue MP, particularly. I called him as well, but he wouldn't speak to us. And Thomas Ada Dalu MP for Chiana Paga is one of the MPs. Albert Akuka of Garu, also there. Samson Tangoba Chiragia, Navrongo Central MP. Yes, we would subsequently speak to him. And then Augustine Teria, Bia West, Peter Kwachiaka, Amenfi Central, Christian Otute in Sege, unable to reach him, and then Edward Derry Lambusi, he was beaten by Titus Bayu, and then Sophia Akuaku, currently MP for Obum Domiabra, but she switched to Ayawaso Central NDC primaries, one of the constituencies that we focused on, and she won't also speak to us just yet. So these are the 17 MPs who have lost their candidature as we speak in the NDC.
Let's speak to Dr. Rashid Dramani with the Africa Parliamentary Network. Joins us on the telephone line right now. Doc, thanks for your time here on Newsnight.
Thank you, Evans.
Great to have you join us via Zoom, and we're struggling to hear him for a bit. We could get his volume up a bit. And we just listened to Harun Idrisu concerned that the sheer number of incumbent and DC MPs who've lost the primaries, which means they will not have a chance to contest in the main elections next year, will pose a challenge to the party in Parliament. You agree?
Yes, Evans, I totally agree. And, I was thinking that the fallout from, the reshuffle that happened a few months ago, I was thinking that the NDC had put that behind it. But if you listen to Haruna and then you listen to Muntaka, I think you get a sense that that ghost is still haunting the party. And in terms of absolute numbers, yes, comparatively speaking, I mean, the party has done worse than before. But if you look at it, 12%, that is something to be expected. Perhaps even more, if the trends in terms of attrition rates, are anything to go by. But if you dig deep and you begin to look at people with a lot of experience, like the Honorable Member for Pru East, Dr. Kwabena Donkor, and others, then I think you begin to see. I saw two problems, but now listening to the two of them, I see three problems. The first problem, Evans, is how do you manage parliamentary business between now and when this parliament gets dissolved?
Especially when you have a hung parliament.
Exactly. All these people who have lost, if they have grievances against the party, first of all, even without those grievances, we see day in, day out an empty chamber. Speaker struggling to get a quorum. Now, with this happening, I think this is going to have a very, very serious impact in terms of getting these people to cooperate with the whip and get parliamentary business done. The second, I think, is perhaps maybe the longer term in terms of the experience members not coming back to the House. That no party can legislate, but we've been saying over the years that I think the parties can have some gentleman agreement and look at what is their agenda going forward and try to see whether internally they can have a family conversation and see which seats need to be protected and so on and so forth. And this is for both parties. So that's the second problem. But the much larger problem, Evans, is the fallout and the unity that seems to be eluding the caucus in Parliament following, the reshuffle. That happened a few months ago. And as Haruna said, they are human beings before they are politicians. And so, that's what most of us have been saying. You can reshuffle, the party has the prerogative to change its front bench and so on. But the manner in which you do it, I think, is what can get people to come along with you.
And there's a conversation you've introduced again that keeps coming up, which is parties must consider which MPs to protect. The retort to that has always been that will be undemocratic. Would it not?
Yes, indeed. That's why I said you can't legislate. But you see, it's a game of numbers, and it's also a game where every party that goes into the competition wants to win power. So now, if as we have seen over the years, parties having their hands in terms of who they want. They usually would have, their hands in terms of who they want, but they would not do anything to protect those who are holding those seats. So that is a challenge, Evans. You can organize yourselves in such a way that we don't want a situation where like we saw with the second deputy speaker, we have seen with many other MPs. The party gets involved, doubles in the process, and in the end, the people would say, well, we want this person, or the front is divided in the constituency and the party ends up losing completely. So yes, undemocratic, but I think they can have a conversation internally. This discussion has been going on and on and on. We saw how the majority leader has, had to, struggle in the last election. Hang on to his seat, and many other experience and peace.
I want to say a big thank you to you, sir. That's Dr. Rashid Dramani there, hitting on a few notes when it comes to MPs each time we have a primary or we go to national elections in the numbers that fall by the wayside. Let's talk to the party's own leadership in the House now.
Well, that's majority side instead. I'm sure they are keenly watching this particular development. On the opposing side, we have the Deputy Majority Chief Whip, Habib Idris, joining us on the phone. We're grateful for your time here on Newsnight, sir. So I'm sure you've been watching, really. First off, to start with, which of the defeats of this 17 MPs shocks you the most?
Good evening, and I do sympathize with all the 17 that lost. Fine brains, very much surprised, but not was expected by the defeat of Kwabena Donkor. If you look at what actually happened in Parliament after the change of the leadership, he was outspoken, who said what the party did was wrong. He was part of the 77 or so who petitioned that Muntaka Haruna and Aveji shouldn't have been changed. And then his relationship with KT Hammond during the ministerial voting was made clear. So such people were actually hunted, and it was expected that the NDC were coming after him. So I thought he could survive it, but he was unable. A good experience hit a lot, especially in the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament. About 4 of the members of that committee lost. Kwabena Donkor being a member, Delo Sowa, who is the deputy ranking, and the Edward Bauer, a very fine brain, who actually been able to very active in the committee and in Parliament. So all these things have happened, but we do sympathize with them, but it's actually going to affect a lot of things in Parliament, especially our colleagues from the other side, how they are going to put their numbers together when there is serious decisions for them to be able to take, and especially committee work with the Mines and Energy Committee, because it is a key factor based on when you look at the NDC, when they were doing their reshuffle or the leadership, they said they are aware, the chairman said that they are aware that 2024 election, they are going to be about the finance, about the energy sector and the housing sector. But now you have lost, been able to hand 4 of your key members out of Parliament.
Does this play very well into the hands of the NPP in Parliament?
Yes, we, the majority, we will not say we are happy that it has happened because we will also be going for our election. But there are a number of MPs on the other side that have lost. I think 17, and I think 3 of them didn't contest at all. Aveji didn't contest at all, Avoka, and I think 1 or 2 others. So it means that about 20 or more of their members wouldn't be coming. But I wouldn't be surprised that independent candidates will spring up from these constituencies. When nominations are open for the Electoral Commission to conduct the 2024 election, I wouldn't be surprised, and these things are expected. But we, in the majority, we are not actually celebrating it. We are just putting our house in order and to be able to focus to prosecute government agenda.
Okay, well, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much. We'll see how it pans out when Parliament resumes. That's the Tolong MP and Deputy Majority Chief Whip in Parliament, Habib Idris there.
And you're still live here on News 90 on Joy 99.7 FM. And let's focus on another aspect of the primaries this weekend, which is the story of some of the aspirants who were found to be inducing the delegates. A very blatant case has come up for criticism. Juliana Kinan Wasan, who was seen in our videos that we had exclusively, just throwing cash to the delegates, while the Member of Parliament for Nego Pram in the Greater Accra region, Samuel George, is back in the decision by the Special Prosecutor to investigate that defeated MP aspirant for the DRA, Setcho Dumase, over that suspected case of corruption. Now, Madam Wasan, according to a letter intercepted by Joy News, is one of the persons of interest for the Special Prosecutor's actions during the opposition party's presidential and parliamentary primaries. Now, the MP aspirant, who lost to the incumbent MP, Muhammadu Bawa Brahma, was seen in this viral video. Many of you have seen it, standing in his open-top vehicle and just throwing the cash. There is more in this report by Nana Wache Yadom, who saw it all unfold.
Article 33, Clause 1 of the Representation of People Law 1992 provides that a person commits the offense of bribery if he or she makes a gift or provides something of value to a voter to induce the vote in a certain way. At the DRA Setcho Dumase constituency, delegates rushed for cash as parliamentary aspirant Juliana Kinan Wasan shared money at the electoral grounds during her entry. Some delegates were seen receiving envelopes from agents of some candidates. Incumbent MP Bawa Brahma also shared knapsack spraying machines to delegates. This is a gift from Honorable Bawa Brahma. He said we should use it on our farms. We want to say a very big thank you to him, and we hope this primaries goes well for him as well. Communications Officer of the NDC at the Ejura Sechodumase constituency, Abubakar Sadiq Osman, told Joy News candidates found culpable will face appropriate disciplinary action.
It's actually against the party rules. We have instructed all candidates to be mindful of the things they do that go to undermine the quality of the process we're kind of having here. So where we are now, I'm sure it will be very difficult for you to actually kind of imprint the person, because we're going for a contest. Any move to kind of try to correct them now would look as if you're being biased towards the person.
Well, we can now hear from the Ningo Prampram MP, Sam George, welcoming the decision of the OSP to investigate.
Well, I'm in no position to direct the national executives on what steps to take. I believe that we've elected national executives as a political party to take such decisions. I've been elected as a member of parliament to represent the party in parliament. I will take decisions on that as a member of parliament. When it comes to administrative decisions in the party, I think that the elected officers have that as their mandate.
I mean, you never shy away from expressing your opinion. What would your opinion be on whether this should be investigated?
Well, for me, the point I'm making is simple. It's their decision to make. But if anybody takes action that breaches our rules, be they as a party or the electoral rules of our country, it's only right that the necessary remedial or administrative steps are taken and actions are taken. And this should actually help us strengthen our vetting procedure and vetting processes and be careful about the kinds of persons who we even clear to contest. What are their motivations? What are their motives? And so I am one who is a stickler for discipline, and I would maintain and insist that if anybody has fallen foul of our regulations, be they as a party or as the country, the right sanctions should apply.
Well, so it's not just Sechodumase that this particular incident occurred. We are told about some delegates receiving monies. There were cases where candidates parked vehicles with rice, amongst others, sharing with people. But Nanaya Ojima also has a report from what transpired in Aswase.
In a video that has gone viral on social media, Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak admits to paying an amount of 100 cedis as transportation to delegates in previous primaries. He boasts the amount is the least paid in primaries, comparing it to that done by colleagues.
It is love. It is not money. The highest I've ever given the delegate in my constituency. You can call and find out. It's 100 cedis, and that was even the last one. The cost of transport, the lunch, and probably dinner. Even that, I was insisting I was going to give them 50 because it is not about paying people money.
About 1,886 delegates were on the register for the Aswase primary. It was being speculated the supporters buzzed to the ground by incumbent MP Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak received some cash in these buses. This was vehemently disputed by the MP, who rather accused his opponent of vote buying. Nonetheless, delegates who were excited at the contest witnessed at Asawase confessed to receiving what they call motivation in the form of cash from candidates.
That envelope does not mean say envelope for the baby. Maybe different. I am a businessman.
Very interesting indeed. And as we've also been learning today, the Office of the Special Prosecutor is also set to investigate claims of inducement and conflict of interest leveled against former President John Mahama, who won the presidential primaries. We know that statement that went out just before the primaries that
given TNT,
we're going to get 40 cedis, I think, for each delegate. It's also subject now of some probe. The Ghana Integrity Initiative,
they have a statement out, and thankfully we've been joined on the phone by Michael Buedi. He's a fundraising manager for GII. Thank you so much for joining us here on Newsnight, Mr. Buedi. So I see that you're condemning this vote buying and financial inducement in the NDC primaries, but the OSP has taken particular interest in this. Is that enough?
Well, I think that it is not enough. And let me say good evening to your listeners, and good evening to you. It is not enough just indicating that the OSP is interested in the case. You see, some of these interests have been expressed. We haven't seen resolution. We all admit that elections are becoming very expensive in this country, and it is there are anecdotal evidence to support the fact that because of the monetization of our elections, corruption is thriving in this country. What we want to see is progress through the whole mile or length of the law, so that if indeed some people are found on the wrong side of the law, then the law is made to discipline them. There should be deterrence. We are getting into 2024, and we are all anxious as to what is going to happen, because let's not forget that the 2024 election, like all other elections, the stakes are high, and therefore a lot of things will happen. And therefore, we say that this should be a test case so that we see what will happen. There are also contestation doing the rounds that, well, the law regulating elections are for public elections and not for inter-party elections. What we want to say is that the expression that the OSP had indicated or made, let's see how that plays out. Then we will know what follows. But it is for us, the initial invitation is good, that we want to see beyond the invitation. Some action ought to be taken so that we can stop this vote buying and its impact on our elections.
Okay, we're grateful. That's Michael Bwedi, fundraising manager for the Ghana Integrity Initiative, joining us there on it. So the Ghana Integrity Initiative has also joined this particular issue, but we are waiting to see the outcome of the Office of the Special Prosecutor's investigation. Let's do business now. George. Hi.
The man who broke the news about the pending financial assurances that we're going to get also joins us, and we're expecting the Executive Board approval to come on Wednesday.
Well, the economists will say, all other things being equal, it is the expectation that the board should approve Ghana's program on Wednesday. And when they do that approval, immediately they will come with an approval of the first tranche of the IMF cash, and the
half
transfer,
of the $3 billion.
That's about $600 or $700 million dollars should be approved to be disbursed. International transfers, procedures, and all the rest. The money could hit Bank of Ghana's account maybe Friday or latest by Monday. It should hit Bank of Ghana's account.
Cash nabo.
Well, there are a lot of things that comes with the program, conditionalities as well. Quite some interesting and tough times ahead for this economy. Well, events coming up in business, government expects about $1.2 billion in IMF cash disbursement for this year, after the board approves the country's program. That is possibly this Wednesday. And the road transport operators announced a 10% reduction in transport fares beginning, that is this Wednesday, May 17, 2023. We're getting you more details on that one. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Ghana Pay and Alliance Life.
Isn't life wonderful when everything worth doing is scheduled? Hitting the stop button on your alarm just in time for your morning jog. That happy moment listening to your baby's heartbeat at the doctor's office. Or an arranged virtual meeting with that big client.
Buy airtime ahead of time with scheduled airtime service on MTN Momo. You can schedule your airtime purchase of any amount daily, weekly, or monthly by dialing *170# option 3 and follow the process. Or simply dial *170*311# for a superb airtime purchase experience. You enjoy 100% bonus airtime anytime you recharge yourself with MTN Momo. Keep on talking with that 100% feeling. So, what are we doing today?
MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks, and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom.
Kingdom. And my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHS, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
Hello CEOs, are you ready? The 7th Ghana CEO Summit and Expo is here. The foremost business conference for over 500 topmost CEOs, heads of state, business leaders and ambassadors, to be held on the 22nd of May 2023 at the Kempinski Hotel, on the theme Economic Sovereignty, Sustainability and Digital Industrial Transformation, New Path for Growth and Prosperity. This impactful summit has attracted over 2,000 high-level dignitaries, including His Excellencies President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and ex-President John Mahama. Be enlightened with actionable perspectives, CEO performance strategies, strategic insights on the latest business trends through CEO masterclasses, plenaries, keynote, expert insights, and CEO peer networking sessions. Register to participate at GhanaCEOSummit.com. For inquiries, call 0546 391970 or 0244 687222. The Ghana CEO Summit and Expo is powered by Ghana CEO Network in partnership with Deloitte, Ministry of Public Enterprises, GIPC, SIGA, and the Multimedia Group. T's and C's apply.
Luxurious affordable living is your right, and no one understands it better than BOT Properties. BOT Properties specializes in modern residential buildings and commercial office spaces. Our properties include the Equator, a 12-story made up of over 100 apartments near Accra Mall. Other Equator courts, we offer you the deluxe living experience with our top-of-the-range homes, high-quality homes built with style and precision to suit your lifestyle. The Equator Courts is a gated community with 2-story, 4-bedroom detached houses at Ogbojo, East Legon, near American House. Our office complexes include Zion House, Shiashi, East Legon, Zion House, Sofa Line Interchange, Kumasi. Our offices and apartments are for both rental and outright purchases at affordable prices and with flexible payment terms. Kindly contact us on 0257 960 919 or visit botproperties.com. BOT Properties, the new meaning of affordable luxury.
So let's now settle for the details and events. News just coming in suggests that the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, and that is the Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council, they have jointly announced a 10% reduction in transport fares starting this Wednesday, 17th of May, 2023. Now, they say that this is in line with the reduction in prices of some petroleum products over the period, and that is what has influenced their decision to reduce prices of transport fares by 10%. That is this Wednesday, May 17, 2023.
That's good news. Rarely do you see prices come down, so the transport fares go down. The next big question is monitoring to ensure that the trotters and the taxis actually reduce their fares.
And the indicators even again suggest that prices of petroleum products could be coming down again from tomorrow, and therefore they are saying that this would also affect share taxis, intercity transport, and also intercity and long distance as well. So the news is that they are going to reduce their fares by 10%. That is from this Wednesday, May 17, 2023. Now, government has indicated that it is hoping to get about $1.2 billion disbursed to the country, that is this year, under the IMF program. Now, this will be realized once it gets the IMF board to approve its program. This week, Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, disclosed this to Joy Business and yet to be at PM Express Business Edition.
The first tranche of disbursement of $600 million US dollars will start immediately, and so we are expecting that within a week or two that will drop in our accounts. There will be the second tranche disbursement after a successful review by November, December. And so this year alone, we are expecting some 1.2 billion United States dollars. You can imagine what this will do to our balance of payment position, what it will do to our budget, because there is budget support in that as well. The remaining amount will be disbursed in equal tranches of $360 million every 6 months after a successful review. Okay, and so the money will flow, and we are very confident that they will serve the purpose in bringing about macro stability. But at the same time, we are going to continue with the debt restructuring, because we have to bring our debt levels to sustainable levels, 55% of GDP by 2028.
And that is the Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, speaking on a yet-to-be-aired interview on PM Express Business Edition. Now, Forex Bureau operators say they expect the Ghana cedi to strengthen further in the coming days over the possible approval of the country's program with the IMF. The Ghana's Eurobond and the cedi has made some strong gains today after news that Ghana could get its first tranche of IMF cash by this Friday after the IMF program is approved. Dr. Alex Akpabli is Vice President of the Ghana Association of Forex Bureau Operators.
Today we went to work, and the rain started and people started stropping into our bureaus, and we realized that the price is just coming down. People, for instance, today as I'm speaking to you, we are selling $11.8, 0.67. So yes, speculation has brought down the rates once again. Ghanaian economy has been mostly driven by speculation, okay, which for me is very sad, okay, because speculation can be positive or negative, you understand? But if the reality happens, there is no doubt that the rate will be coming down. The cedi will be more powerful, again than as we are seeing now, and therefore the rates will come down.
Vice President of the Ghana Association of Forex Bureau Operators, Dr. Alex Akpabli. Now, let's still stay on this subject because the economist Professor William Boateng had told Joy Business that getting this program could result in a major turnaround for the economy.
Normally, there's this saying that if you want to know what will happen in the future, look at what has happened in the past. So, not to take you so far, we were down the recession in the early 1980s. So we had the IMF program. So let's say the Bretton Woods institution came in. That's the economic recovery program and the structural adjustment. It has its own negative effects. There's no doubt about that. But at least we're able to recover. And since 1984, we had never recorded any negative growth as a country. So when IMF comes in, it gives some kind of confidence to external creditors. It gives confidence to almost everybody. They become police on how we do things, and that will also make policymakers and government conform, not to minimize the excesses in terms of something that will bring the economy to its knees. So for the IMF coming in, I think it will give us the stability that we want.
Economist Professor William Boateng. Now, mining service provider Engineers and Appliances has indicated that it is working hard to help improve the indigenous participation in the mining sector. This was revealed after the firm signed a $230 million Caterpillar equipment financing agreement with Mansour Group of Dubai and Egypt. Engineers and Planners maintain that the deal, together with other initiatives, should help maintain some strong capital in the industry going forward. Now, Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection is calling for more investment into information technology to increase the knowledge base of social and economic issues. The minister's call is coming as part of events to mark the International Day of Family, that is today. Deputy Minister, that is Francisca Otten-Mensah, maintained that this is key to have more young persons develop interest in tech-based education. She spoke at a walk and a town hall meeting in Teshi in Accra today.
Technology has become an integral part of our everyday life as individuals and as families. From our smartphones to our computers and even our home appliances, all have been built to fit our busy daily schedules and to function effectively. Popular video calling applications such as Skype, WhatsApp videos, FaceTime acts as a huge communication medium for families to stay in touch. Even though the family members may not be physically present, these video calls allow them to be involved and participate in the celebration with everyone.
That's all for business on Newsnight. Back to you, Evans and Emefa.
And George, we are looking forward to Wednesday. You'll be talking about this, about the expectation that we may get the IMF Executive Board approval. The president himself has also been expressing those same expectations.
Okay.
He's been speaking about this. Listen to the president on that.
Next Wednesday, the board itself will meet and final approval to the Ghanaian demand. So the sacrifices that the countries have to make this last year, the difficulties of the day, will be the Ghanaian last. We're going to see the beginning of the recovery. Because with the approval of the IMF, we're in a strong position to make other arrangements that will help our economy get back into a strong place.
Already the business community, they are looking forward to the money arriving and the executive board giving that approval. The Association of Ghana Industries already is looking forward to the money coming, hitting our account, providing a basis for businesses to thrive again. Listen to the Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the AGI, Chonam Akpalu.
Well, some confidence improve over time. So all of these activities, the relief from IMF, means that they will contribute to improving the confidence in the business space. And what will be more interesting for us is when a decision is finally made, because all of these are being done to ensure that we receive a favorable decision and the money actually trickle in. So these are really good news and good time, except that we have to wait to see the money, because as it is now, we don't have timeline. We're not sure that if the next time the board is meeting, they will necessarily make a decision. So all of this, we can only wait and pray that we have a decision and the money finally comes in. Because as it is now, it's still quite hard for the private sector.
So private sector already looking forward to the IMF Executive Board approval. Let's look forward now to sports, and Ms. Bao is here with details. Hello, Ms. Bao.
Yes, hello, Ivan. So the Ghana Premier League side, Dreams FC, qualified for their first ever cup final after defeating Division 1 side Sky FC in the semi-final of the MTN FA Cup at the Dr. Kwame Ture complex over the weekend. Now, the moment, however, the club battling relegation in the Ghana Premier League, where they are lying 16th with 38 points, 1 point outside the relegation zone. And head coach of the side has been speaking after that game, which they won over the weekend, and insisting that he would do all he can to ensure that the team escape the drop.
Well, I told you from the beginning that playing a Leicester to the top is very difficult. I told you, I didn't hide it. I know I will win, but I find it very difficult, and this is what has happened. So, me winning today, as you said, has motivated me to fight for the cup. But I wasn't surprised the way they played. You understand me? Because the sense of purpose in their game was not there. But they were trying to do some but we were here to qualify. So when you see the way we were playing, we were more on that offense when we had the ball more than them. They hold the ball more. They felt the ball more. But we look at the way we go. Then we are there. They beating us, they make history. We beating them, that nothing. You understand me? So I told my boy, let's go in to get what we wanted, and we try to contain them. Then we take them on counter. So look at the way we've been going. You understand me? So to me, our game plan worked to perfection. Going to the finals is a big plus to the club. And myself, it also improved my CV. So escaping relegation is normal. And I'll do it, inshallah. Congratulations, coach. Thank you very much.
Do Karim Zito, head coach for Dreams FC over there.
Well, thank you very much, Musbao. And it was a rainy and very wet Monday morning, and some parts of the capital were left flooded following the torrential rains that lasted well over 4 hours. My colleague Carlos Canoni has been out and about. Report from Glife in the Ablekuma West Municipality.
Now, the rain, which started a little over 6:30 a.m. Monday morning, as forecasted by the Ghana Meteorological Department, actually lasted well over 4 hours. Now, apart from impeding the movement of many commuters in the capital, houses and businesses sited in low-lying areas in Accra, like Glife and its environs, experienced varying levels of floods. Now, for some residents here at Glife in the Ablekuma West Municipality of the Greater Accra region, the flood situation has become an annual ritual after every downpour.
Every time it is raining for small, you can see how this situation we're going to pass with because of the gutters. As you can see, this gutter hindered here. It didn't came to this side. So anytime the rain falls, we have these problems. It's what you can say is small.
If it rains here like this, we suffer. Today like this, people we couldn't go out because we have stuck in the water. The kids didn't go to school because of the rain. We also, me myself, I couldn't come out because there's all the place is watering. We cannot come out.
Many were seen scooping flood waters from their rooms. However, following the unfortunate drowning of 9 school children in a nearby community of Fana, residents here at Glife say they fear their kids could drown in the many stagnant waters in the community.
There are some children around here. If they are going to school, normally they pass this side. They can fall into the water if they are dressed up going to school. Or even if people are selling, they can put the food inside. Even you can even fall into the water if you are going to work or if you are passing.
They say ebi wa mu bakra no mu doji we no kwa no matonso no no ma sanso mo chichi esa ban se on be boy osilanso on be hwe hamaye aha no ye fe abutre janshi nti on bo modin a no be hwe hamaye na nkwala fe mu kosku ye manu nina this said we omu hwe yechi.
We want the authorities to help us else the kids will die among us. So we are begging for the government to come and help us.
Well, so that was the situation in Glife today. And Evans, how long can you cook? How long?
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Can you? So you can't go beyond 5 minutes, can you?
No, I mean when I was in the UK, I was cooking for longer hours. Because
thank God it's just cooking that you can just cook for 5 minutes.
No, I can cook far longer. Now I'm 5 minutes, but back in the day, I could go for 2 hours.
Just cooking.
Yes, cooking. Yes.
Cooking.
Variety of dishes that will last me a month.
Okay, well, Hilda Bassi, I'm sure you've heard about her. She's, a social media icon, culinary dynamo amongst others. And she's been cooking as at 3 p.m., 96 hours. She's already broken the world record for cooking. We know that the previous record was set by an Indian chef, Lata Tondon, in 2019. And he cooked, his record is at 87 hours, 45 minutes, and 00 seconds. And well, she's hoping to go 100 hours. And there's a lot of talk about it on social media, a lot of massive support also for her in Nigeria. But Michael Papania-Shale has been monitoring, and some of the comments on Twitter joins us in studio. What are people saying?
Well, MFR, it's quite an interesting one, but let's start with what Guinness World Record. So one person, Alexander the Great, I beg your pardon, tweeted as Guinness World Records that have they seen this? So his comment says, why is Guinness World Record not showing or talking about Hilda's cookathon? Well, can't see anything on their pages, and he lists all of them. Then he gets a response.
Guinness tweeted earlier that they've seen it, but they have to verify it.
Yes, exactly. And quotes from Guinness World Record, like you said, where he says, we are aware of this amazing record attempt. We need to review all the evidence first before officially confirming a record. But on the comments that have come following this, interestingly, Ghanaians seem to be, claiming her. Well, from her name, it suggests that she's Nigerian. And you have Asiedu Menzu, one of Ghana's influencers, says that, well, we are waiting. She made Ghana proud and puts a Ghana flag there and with 2 hearts there. Yes, and you can imagine what the Nigerian says. There's one from Abdul. He says, make una stop this play.
But I thought we were brothers and sisters. Didn't they?
No, not for this, because Ghanaians don't seem to be saying we are
it appears this has been streaming and some were cheering it on.
officially counting down. So yeah, we are almost there. Woo! Stand up for the champ.
People very excited for her indeed. Do you want to take up that challenge?
No, I can't.
Okay, but how many hours? I can do 2 hours. How many hours can you do?
It's cooking, eh?
Yes.
Okay, we'll see. I think I can go like 5 hours, 10 hours.
You
Should
think
we try?
You're not sure.
Oh, cooking.
Okay.
I can.
I'm looking for a cooking proverb for you, but I'm struggling. Shall we ask ABA Fuseni?
Of course.
Okay.
Don't be in a hurry to count your chickens before the eggs hatch, because you could be mistaken to count eggs as chicken.
If a lion is found of patronizing the marketplace, they will treat it like a puppy. When the horse joins the race, the donkey will be seen as the ass that it is, to smoke the dust of the horse. But when an elder is in the house, the grain will not be allowed to be soaked by the rain. So a man who has died in the market, you don't need to announce his funeral. They're saying that you must first have heard before you can chew corn.
You see, first you have to chase away the hyena before you blame the goat. It's been said, you don't show an indigene the way to his house. The testicle that will degenerate into hernia, it will be spotted from the very first day it descends.
For everything that in the country has gone up except the height of the president.
And we're really going to miss ABA Fuseni's proverbs on the floor of Parliament and in media interviews because he lost his parliamentary primary as well.
Dear.
It's the saddest one for me.
Well, if you see a pregnant goat in the market, it means there's a pregnant problem at home.
And he had a big pregnant problem that he couldn't solve in the primary. Unfortunately, he lost.
And that's how we wrap up tonight's edition of News Night. We have That's My Opinion coming up next.
Yes, Obatampada.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Obatampada. The day for Obatampa.
Okay. Okay. Join Nanan Sakwa with his team on Obatampada.
Yes.
Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Yes, so feed your man. You try